Good morning, dear friend. The sky is still tinged with the soft glow of early dawn. The earth has not fully awakened, and there is a hush in the air that only the morning carries a kind of sacred stillness before the noise of life begins again. You might be sitting quietly right now, perhaps with a cup of coffee or simply wrapped in a moment of silence, wondering how today will unfold. In this fragile hour where darkness slips into light, your soul may feel tender, tired, or uncertain, but this is also the most divine time to connect, to breathe, and to begin again. Let me tell you about someone I recently encountered, a woman in her 50s, gentle and kind, yet carrying years of silent pain. She had given her best to life, raised children, supported a husband, worked tirelessly in a job that rarely appreciated her. One morning, after everyone had left the house, she sat alone at her kitchen table and whispered into the stillness, "Have I wasted my life?" It was not bitterness that filled her voice. It was sorrow, a quiet question wrapped in longing. She had lost her sense of purpose. Years had slipped by in sacrifice, and now she was left with a feeling of absence, as if the story had moved forward without her. Her story may not be exactly like yours, but perhaps something in it echoes inside you. Maybe you too are waking up to a season where it feels like time has taken more than it has given. Maybe you are carrying wounds others do not see, regrets that rise before the sun does, or fears that no one else knows how to name. But here is the truth that morning whispers. The story is not over. What feels like an ending can be a beginning in God's hands. What seems lost is not beyond restoration, and what has been buried beneath sorrow can rise again in purpose. You do not have to navigate this alone. This is not a day to carry the weight by yourself. This is a morning to open the door of your heart and let something greater in. This is the moment to begin a different kind of conversation, one where you are fully seen, deeply known, and completely loved. You see, faith does not require you to have all the answers. It only asks you to show up. And prayer is not a performance. It is an invitation, a quiet turning of the soul toward the one who hears even your silent thoughts. In this space, there is no need to hide. There is only an opportunity to let go of what was and make room for what could be. So wherever you are right now, whether strong or weary, hopeful or afraid, I want to invite you into a sacred rhythm of prayer, not empty words, but a living exchange between your heart and heaven. This is not about fixing everything in an instant. It is about beginning a journey of being restored, renewed, and realigned with divine purpose. Let the morning light remind you that grace is new today. You are not forgotten. You are not too late. And your voice matters. Let us step together into this moment, not as perfect people, but as people who believe that even in our brokenness, beauty is still possible. Open your heart now. Something holy is beginning. Dear Heavenly Father, I wake up this morning with a heaviness I cannot quite name. My body rises from sleep, but my soul feels buried beneath memories, regrets, and questions that have followed me for years. I do not come to you today with polished words or a perfect heart. I come with the weight of broken pieces, scattered across time, asking you if any of it can still be made whole. There are seasons in my life that feel like empty fields, places where I once planted hope but never saw harvest, decisions I made too late or too hastily, doors I walked through that led to nowhere, dreams I once held with trembling hands that now lie silent and folded in corners of my heart. I wonder if you still see me here. If you remember the child I was when I first dared to believe that life could be good. Somewhere along the way, that child got lost. I do not ask today for answers. I simply ask to be seen, to be heard, to be held in the middle of everything that has unraveled. I have tried to gather the pieces on my own, to rebuild from what remains. But I do not have the strength anymore. My hands are tired from holding it together. My heart is sore from pretending that everything is fine. It is not fine. I am not fine. And I believe you already know that. There are voices in my mind that speak loudly in the silence. They say I should have done more, been better, moved faster, waited longer, trusted less, loved less, guarded more. They remind me of every missed opportunity, every misplaced trust, every moment I froze when I should have acted. And some days, I listen. Some days, I agree. Some days, I believe the lie that the best of my story is already behind me. But even as I whisper these thoughts, something deeper stirs. A longing I cannot kill, a spark I cannot smother. It tells me to try again, to speak again, to rise again, not because I feel strong, but because you have always met me in my weakest places, because you are not frightened by my mess, because you are not offended by my sadness, because you never asked me to be flawless, only honest. So I am honest now. I stand in the ruins. I look around at what I thought I had built and admit it. It did not last. Some things were taken from me. Some I gave away too easily. Others I broke with my own hands. But no matter how they were lost, the H is the same, and I do not want to carry it anymore in silence. If you are who I believe you are, gentle enough to weep with me, and mighty enough to raise me, then I ask you to meet me here. Meet me in the place where years feel wasted, where energy was spent on people who left, where time slipped away while I was too afraid to act, where hope once grew but never bloomed. Walk with me through the chapters I cannot read without pain. Show me that even these ashes can still hold seeds. Remind me that restoration does not begin when everything is fixed, but when I dare to believe it is still possible. I am afraid, but I am here. I do not know what healing will look like, but I know I cannot stay in this place forever. So I take a small step forward, not because I am ready, but because something in me refuses to give up. I bring my disappointment, my shame, my quiet desperation, and I lay it all before you, not because I think you owe me anything, but because I believe you are still the safest place I know. Help me breathe again. Help me hope again. Help me see beyond what has been lost. I do not ask you to erase the past. I ask you to enter it with me, to walk with me through the memories that still sting, to bring color where everything feels gray, to speak gently to the child in me who still wonders if any of this matters. You say you restore what was stolen. You say nothing surrendered to you is truly wasted. Today, I do not ask for double. I ask for one thing: presence. Your nearness, your kindness, your quiet reassurance that I am not forgotten in the rubble. I do not need a miracle. I just need to know that you are near, that you still call me yours, even now. This morning, as the world begins again, I ask you to help me begin again too. Not in the way I once tried, with striving and perfection, but with open hands and a heart willing to be led. Show me how to live again. Even here, show me how to find beauty in what is left. And if I can no longer return to who I was, then teach me how to become who I am meant to be. Speak into this quiet, not with thunder, but with truth. The kind of truth that heals slowly but surely. The kind of truth that breaks chains I did not know I was still dragging. Let my tears become prayers. Let my silence become surrender. Let this moment become the beginning of something holy. Dear Heavenly Father, I am not here with answers. I am here with ashes. And I trust that you can do something beautiful with them. God, as I sit with the stillness of this morning, the silence around me is not empty, it is filled with H. Something inside me continues to stir after what I laid before you yesterday. I woke up hoping to feel lighter, freer, different. But instead, I feel the echoes of everything I said still ringing in my chest, like a cry that did not quite reach where it needed to go. And maybe that is what I am afraid of, that even when I speak, nothing will answer, that my voice will vanish into the air like it always has, that you might not be listening. But still, here I am, still whispering, still trying, still choosing to speak when everything inside me says to be quiet. I know what it feels like to silence myself. I have done it for years. I have buried thoughts that were too heavy. I have swallowed grief to make others more comfortable. I have hidden fear behind a strong face. And somewhere along the way, I forgot what it felt like to cry without apology. I forgot how to be honest with the God who already knows. So today, I let it out. I let the tears rise up. I let the ache take shape. I let the loneliness stretch out its limbs and be known. Because you are not a God who shies away from our wilderness. You are not disturbed by the dryness of this desert I am walking through. If anything, I think you wait for me here. I think you listen more closely in these places when my soul is cracked and sun-worn, and I have nothing left to offer except a fragile yes. Lord, I do not want to pretend anymore. I do not want to say I am fine when I am unraveling inside. I do not want to whisper polite prayers that sound good but mean nothing. I want to be known in the lowest places, in the panic that wakes me before dawn, in the shame I carry but do not understand, in the quiet battles I fight when no one is watching. I want you to see me here, to find me here not when I am polished or presentable, but exactly as I am, disoriented and searching. There are days when I feel like a voice in the wilderness, crying out with nothing but dust in my hands. My prayers feel like they hit a ceiling. My words feel weak. My hope feels thin. And yet something in me keeps crying. Something in me keeps looking for water in this dry land. Is that you, God? Is that your spirit in me refusing to give up? Even now, because if I am honest, I want to give up. I want to lay down and forget I ever hoped for more. But I can tell. Not fully. Not yet. There is a question that burns in my chest when I least expect it. Do you still have a plan for me? Do you still write my name into your story? Or did I miss too much, waste too much? Did I close too many doors that can't be reopened? These thoughts come not from rebellion, but from longing, a deep ache to matter, to know that even here, even now, I have not drifted too far. You say in your word that you leave the 99 to find the one. You say you draw near to the brokenhearted. You say your power is made perfect in weakness. So I bring you mine, all of it. I bring you my disappointments, my silence, my buried dreams, my restless questions. I bring you the pieces of a voice that used to speak with more certainty. I bring you the cry that no one else has heard. And I ask you to meet me here, in this desert, in this stretch of time where things feel stuck and slow and unseen. I do not need lightning or thunder. I do not need answers that wrap everything in a neat bow. I just need the assurance that you are not far, that you are not waiting for me to fix myself before you draw near, that my cry, as dry as it sounds, still reaches your heart. Sometimes, the pain is not in the sharpness, it is in the dull repetition, the way days repeat without change, the way I wake up hoping for a shift, but find the same ache greeting me. And yet, even here, I choose to believe that my tears are not wasted, that my longing is not empty, that somewhere in the silence, something sacred is being formed. You have met others in deserts. You spoke to Moses from a bush that burned but did not break. You sustained Elijah when he thought he was the only one left. You found Hagar beside a well when she thought no one saw her. You turned wilderness into holy ground. So maybe this place is not as barren as it feels. Maybe the cry itself is the seed. Maybe the brokenness is the doorway. I want to believe that you are doing something even now. That while I cry, you are collecting every tear. That while I wander, you are walking beside me. That while I wait, you are working in the hidden places I cannot see. You are not a God of delay. You are a God of divine timing. And even when I do not understand your pace, I choose to trust your presence. Let my cry today be honest. Let it be holy. Let it be enough. I do not know what tomorrow holds, but I know that today I still have breath. I still have a voice. I still have you. And maybe that is enough for now. Maybe that is the beginning of something new. If you are still with me, then I am not lost. If you are still near, then I am still found. And even in this dry, quiet place, I will lift my eyes and whisper your name, because even a desert can echo with the sound of hope. Lord, as my soul slowly unfolds in the quiet of this morning, I feel the echoes of what once was begin to stir again. The cry I lifted to you in the silence still lingers in the air like mist hanging in the low valleys of my heart. And now, Something deeper rises, memories I have tucked away, places in time I have avoided revisiting, moments that come back not with joy, but with a gentle H. I did not come searching for them. They came on their own, soft and slow, as if asking permission to be seen again. I remember seasons when I believed so fully, when I felt brave, when my hands were open, and my eyes were bright with expectation. I remember the prayers I once whispered with urgency, asking you to make something beautiful of my life. There were dreams I carried in the early morning light, dreams I thought would bloom by now. Some began to grow but never matured. Others never had a chance to breathe. And still, I held them close, hoping they meant something to you. But time has moved on, and I have watched those hopes slowly fade. Some days, I feel like I am standing in a room filled with locked doors. Each one has a name, an opportunity missed, a person lost, a version of me that I can no longer access. I try not to linger in that room too long. It hurts to name what never happened. It hurts to wonder what might have been. But today, in your presence, I will not look away. I will stand in the center of that space and let the echoes speak. God, you know every moment I revisit now, the ones I still grieve in silence, the relationships that slipped through my fingers while I clung to pride or fear, the seasons I delayed out of doubt, the words I left unspoken when someone needed to hear them, the choices I made thinking I had more time. I lay them before you without shame, because I know you see the whole story, not just the scattered pages. You see what was not, and what still could be. There are people I miss but cannot return to, roads I walked that led to dead ends, places I left with goodbyes I never really meant. And still, there are parts of me that remain in those moments, waiting for closure that never came. I bring those unfinished chapters to you, Father, not asking for them to be rewritten, but for them to be redeemed. If you can gather every scattered second and hold it in your hands, then none of it is truly lost. Sometimes I wonder if I misheard you, if what I thought was direction was only desire. The vision I once held was my own hope disguised as your voice. But deep down, I believe you were speaking. I believe you still are. Even when the journey changed course, even when delays came, even when the doors closed, I believe you were never absent. And that belief, as small and trembling as it is, keeps me grounded today. You said you would restore the years the locusts have eaten. You said that nothing surrendered to you is wasted. So I bring these years, Father, not just the bright ones, but the ones I buried, the ones marked by silence and confusion, the years I spent stuck in cycles I did not know how to break, the time I gave away to people who did not stay. I bring it all, hoping that your redemption is not just a promise for others, but for me too. There are voices that say it is too late, that what is gone, that regret is something to carry, not to heal. But I do not want to live like that anymore. I do not want to carry timelines like chains. I want to walk in the truth that your timeline is not bound by mine, that you measure time not in hours, but in surrender. That one moment with you can outweigh a decade without. So teach me how to let go of the calendar I created in my own mind, the deadlines I set for myself, the pressure to achieve something by a certain age or stage. Help me trust that I am not behind, that I am not disqualified, that you have not forgotten what you whispered over me years ago. Even if it looks different now, even if the dream has changed shape, I believe it is still alive in your hands. You are the God who resurrects not only bodies, but time. You do not rewind the clock. You repurpose the story. You take what we thought was over and breathe new life into it, not always by giving it back as it was, by transforming it into something greater. So I choose to release the pressure to go back. I ask instead for eyes to see forward, to believe that what lies ahead is not a consolation prize, but a divine continuation. Let these echoes be more than reminders of loss. Let them be invitations to heal, to hope, to dream again. Let them guide me gently, not haunt me. Let them become landmarks of your mercy, not monuments of my mistakes. I do not want to live in regret. I want to live in remembrance of your kindness, of your patience, of your unwavering presence through it all. Father, I thank you that even now, even after all that has been missed, you call me worthy of new beginnings. You see not only where I have been, but where I am going. You hold every hour I thought was wasted and infuse it with meaning I could never imagine. You are not just the author of beginnings. You are the redeemer of everything in between. So as the morning sun rises once again, I will not rush past this moment. I will sit with the echoes. I will let them rise. I will listen. And I will trust that you are speaking through them still. My story is not over. Time is not lost. And in your hands, even the forgotten moments are seeds waiting to bloom. Father, after sitting with the echoes, after letting the old seasons breathe again, I find myself arriving at a crossroads I did not expect. I have walked through regret, through longing, through quiet remembrance. And now, standing still in this moment, I realize I cannot carry everything forward. Something within me knows it is time to let go, not out of defeat, but out of trust, not because I have no options left, but because holding on has worn me thin. There is a holy invitation here, a whisper that asks for surrender, not in weakness, but in courage. I have clung so tightly to the weight of understanding. I have searched every reason, retraced every step, questioned every outcome. I have begged for answers to justify the pain, to make sense of what slipped through my fingers. But today, I see how exhausting it is to demand control over something my heart was never meant to carry alone. There is freedom, perhaps, not in finding clarity, but in laying down the need to know. Lord, I bring you my questions once more, not because I need them solved, but because I no longer want to be ruled by them. Why did it happen this way? Why did they leave? Why did that door close? Why did not the dream unfold like I believed it would? These questions are still real, still valid, but I do not want them to be the lens through which I view you anymore. I want to trust your character more than I trust my conclusions. I want to believe that even what I do not understand is still held in love. So I open my hands, not as a symbol, but as a decision. I surrender what I cannot change. I surrender the timeline I built. I surrender the image I had of how it was supposed to look. I surrender the version of myself I have been trying to preserve, the strong one, the one who has it together, the one who hides the ache beneath performance. You never asked for a polished heart. You asked for a willing one. God, I confess I have spent more time striving than resting. I have tried to prove myself to others, and at times, even to you. I thought if I could just get it right, I would finally feel secure. But no amount of effort has given me the peace I long for. And now I see that peace cannot be earned, it must be received. You are not looking for perfection. You are looking for surrender, not because you want power over me, because you want freedom for me. I give you my striving. I give you the pressure I have placed on myself to fix what was never mine to fix. I give you the guilt I have carried for too long, the comparison that steals my joy, the voices that say I am too much or not enough. I place them at your feet and ask you to take them from me. I am tired, not just in body, but in soul. And I believe you are the only one who can offer rest that reaches this deep. There is something sacred about releasing what once defined you. Something quiet and powerful about stepping away from who you thought you had to be. I do not want to build a life that looks good from the outside, but leaves me empty on the inside. I want to build with you. I want to build on the foundation of truth, not fear, on your word, not my worry, on grace, not performance. So I choose surrender, even though it feels unfamiliar, even though part of me still resists. I lay it all down not with bitterness, but with trust. I trust that you know what to do with what I release. I trust that you do not take from me to harm me, but to heal me. I trust that surrender is not the end of my story, but the beginning of something far more beautiful than I could have written on my own. Lord, help me remain open in this process. Help me resist the urge to take back what I lay down. Help me remember that surrender is not a one-time moment, but a rhythm, a posture, a daily turning of my heart toward yours. I will not fear what I let go of, because I know who I am letting go to. You are faithful, you are good, you are near, and though surrender may feel like silence, I believe it is where your voice becomes clearest. Though it may feel like loss, I believe it is where true gain begins. Let me rest in that. Let me settle into the safety of being known and still loved. Let me experience what it means to be carried by your mercy instead of driven by my need to control. Let me breathe again, not in shallow sighs of exhaustion, but in full inhales of grace. I am not surrendering to emptiness. I am surrendering to you, and that makes all the difference. I do not know what tomorrow will ask of me, but I know I do not have to face it in my own strength. I do not have to hold the weight of my story alone. You are the author. You are the one who restores. You are the one who rebuilds what I thought was beyond repair. So take what I have laid down and do with it what only you can. Make peace out of chaos. Make beauty out of brokenness. Make purpose out of pain. I am not trying to prove anything anymore. I just want to walk with you, freely and fully. I want to wake each day knowing that I am loved. Not because of what I do, but because of who you are. You meet me in this place, not when I am perfect, but when I am present. Not when I have the answers, but when I have the courage to release them. And that is what today is about: courage. The quiet courage to say, I cannot carry this anymore, and the deeper courage to believe that you can. As the sun continues to rise outside my window, let the same light rise within me. Let it shine through every shadow I surrender. Let it warm the parts of me that have gone cold with striving. Let it touch the places where I have hardened myself in the name of survival, and let it remind me that even in surrender, I am safe. Because surrender is not weakness. It is trust. It is love. It is the gentle turning of a weary soul into the arms of a Father who never left. Lord, in the quiet that followed surrender, something unexpected has emerged. It is not thunder or triumph or the sudden rush of relief I thought might come. It is something gentler. The sense that I have not been alone, not in the confusion, not in the not in the letting go. As I lay down the burdens I could no longer carry, I sensed something deeper rising, the awareness that you were there through it all, watching with eyes that never looked away. For so long, I believed I had to do everything in silence, that if I showed too much sadness, if I admitted the emptiness, I would seem ungrateful or weak. So I smiled when it hurt. I pushed through days that felt hollow. I offered answers I no longer believed. All the while, part of me wondered if anyone really saw what was happening underneath the surface. If you saw, if you noticed, if my tears mattered in a world that moves on so quickly. But now I know you were there, in the quiet disappointments that I never told anyone about, in the moments when I showed up for others, but no one showed up for me, in the late nights when I stared at the ceiling, asking questions with no words. You saw it all, not as a distant observer, but as one who draws close, as one who leans in, as one who keeps watch even when the world turns away. God, I cannot explain the comfort that comes from knowing you see me. Not just the version I present to the world, but the real me, the one who doubts, the one who hesitates, the one who tries hard and still feels like it is not enough. You do not flinch when I fail. You do not turn when I tremble. You do not abandon me in the shadows. You come nearer, and that changes everything. To be seen by you is not to be exposed in shame, but to be held in compassion. You are not searching for faults. You are searching for hearts. You are not gathering evidence of failure. You are gathering fragments of pain to redeem them in your love. Every wound I tried to hide has already been known to you. Every moment I felt invisible was actually cradled in your awareness. I see now that I was never hidden, even when I felt forgotten. There is a kind of healing that comes not through answers, but through acknowledgement. Just knowing that you see me, that you care enough to stay present when I am not at my best brings peace to places I did not know were still aching. You are not just the God of the mountaintop moments. You are the God of long waits, of broken pieces, of quiet in-betweens. You are the God who sits beside me when there is nothing left to say. I remember now the story of the one who named you the God who sees. She was not in a temple. She was not surrounded by praise. She was alone in the wilderness, carrying more than she could bear, running from a life that had become too painful. And still, You came. You called her by name. You acknowledged her pain, and she realized that in all her running, you had been watching over her the entire time. You had not forgotten her. You had not dismissed her. You had seen her. That story lives in me today. I am not running, but I know what it feels like to carry more than I understand. To walk through places that feel like deserts. To wonder if anyone sees the effort it takes just to keep going. But just like her, I am reminded that I am not alone. You see me, and because you do, I can stop trying to prove myself. I can stop reaching for recognition. I can simply be fully known, fully loved. Father, I bring you all the places where I still feel unseen, the parts of me I have silenced, the moments that felt small to others but broke something inside me, the dreams I never dared to speak aloud. I bring you the hours I stayed strong for others and the ones where I collapsed in private. I bring it all, trusting that your eyes are kind, that your gaze is steady, that your heart is moved not by my performance, but by my presence. Let me see myself the way you see me, not through the lens of my failures, but through the clarity of your love, not as a burden, but as your beloved. Teach me to walk through my days with quiet confidence that I am held in your sight, that I do not need to beg for your attention, that I already have it, that I always have. Help me notice others the way you notice me. Help me slow down long enough to truly see the people around me, the ones who laugh but carry silent sorrow, the ones who serve but feel unseen. Let me become a vessel of your awareness, a mirror of the way you see, a soft place for others to land, a gentle reminder that they are not forgotten. Thank you for seeing me, not as broken beyond repair, but as someone in the middle of becoming. Thank you for watching over me, not with judgment, but with tenderness. Thank you for being the kind of God who never looks away. Even now, as I sit in the stillness, I feel your eyes on me not in pressure, but in peace. I feel your presence like a blanket across the sharp places. I feel your knowing like a balm. And for the first time in a long time, I feel safe. Safe to be seen. Safe to be honest. Safe to begin again. So I will not hide anymore. I will not shrink myself to fit the silence. I will live as one who is fully known. I will speak as one who is fully loved. I will rise into this day with the assurance that wherever I go, you go with me, your eyes upon me, your hand beside me, your love around me. That is enough. Father, in the quiet place where your eyes met mine, something in me began to soften. It was not a loud breaking or a dramatic release. It was gentle, almost imperceptible, but I felt it, the loosening of a grip I did not know I still held, the unraveling of fear disguised as control. And in that tender unraveling, grace found its way in, not because I chased it, not because I earned it, but because you brought it to me, as you always do, without asking for anything in return. I have spent so much time trying to deserve love, trying to prove I am worth being chosen, trying to meet invisible standards I thought you needed me to reach. I wore masks I did not even know were there. I memorized prayers I thought would keep me safe. I filled silences with activity, afraid that stillness would expose my emptiness. but none of it made me feel closer to you. None of it quieted the ache that longed for something deeper, something real. And now I know what I was searching for was grace, not applause, not perfection, not even peace as the world defines it. Just grace, the kind that steps into a room I have tried to clean and says, I do not need to tidy up first. The kind that kneels beside me on the floor of my awareness and calls it holy ground. The kind that whispers, even in my worst moments, I am still here. Lord, I have been running so long, even when my feet stood still, running in my thoughts, in my expectations, in my fears of falling short. I ran toward achievement, hoping it would satisfy. I ran away from pain, hoping it would disappear. But everywhere I ran, I carried myself with me. And still, you pursued me, not to scold, not to shame, but to invite me to stop, to rest, to let grace do what striving never could. I do not know how to receive without feeling the need to repay. It feels unnatural to accept a gift so vast and unearned. But that is what makes it holy. That is what makes it sacred. You give not because I deserve. You give because you are good. You are always good. And that truth is steadier than all my feelings. So today, I pause and let grace settle in. I let it fill the empty corners I have kept hidden. I let it touch the parts of me I thought were too tired, too hardened, too far gone. I let it reintroduce me to joy, not the fleeting kind that depends on circumstances, but the quiet joy that knows I am loved regardless. I let it rewrite the names I have called myself. Names like failure, too much, not enough. And in their place, I receive what you have always called me, beloved, chosen, yours, God. If grace is a river, let me step into it without hesitation. Let it carry away the shame I have worn like armor. Let it rinse the dust from the years I have wandered. Let it soothe the sting of every word that told me I had to earn your favor. I want to live from grace, not for it. I want to breathe in the truth that nothing I do can make you love me more. And nothing I have done can make you love me less. This changes everything. I do not need to strive for a seat at your table. You have already set one for me. I do not need to perfect my prayers. You hear the ones that come through sighs and silence. I do not need to earn back time I think I have lost. You redeem it in ways I can imagine. I do not need to fix myself to be welcome in your presence. Your presence is the place where healing begins. Let me live like I believe that. Let me wake up not with the pressure to perform, but with the peace of being held. Let me walk through this day with a heart unburdened by shame, unhurried by fear. Let me speak words seasoned with grace, first to myself, then to those around me. Let me remember that my worth is not a moving target, but a settled promise written by your hand. And when I falter, as I surely will, let grace meet me there too. Let it find me not as a last resort, but as a first response. Let it remind me that you are not surprised by my weakness. You are not disappointed by my humanity. You are not keeping score. You are keeping me. Father, let this be the day I stop running from grace and start walking with it. Let it become the rhythm beneath my every step. Let it shape how I respond when I am wronged, when I fall short, when I feel unseen. Let it be the language of my heart, the anthem of my journey, the foundation beneath every hope I carry. I have tried doing life on my own terms, in my own strength, and all it brought was exhaustion. But now, with open hands and an open heart, I welcome something better. I welcome grace, not just as a word, but as a way of being, a way of trusting, a way of resting in love that cannot be broken. There is a stillness in this moment that feels like a home I forgot existed, a place where I can simply be. Not impressive, not accomplished, just present, just real. And in this space, I find you, not behind a wall of expectations, not at the end of a long list of requirements, but here, in the very place I laid down my trying, in the very place I allowed grace to come in. Thank you for being the God who does not wait for me to have it all together. Thank you for being the God who comes close even when I feel distant. Thank you for showing me that the gift of your love is not something I must strive toward, but something I am invited to receive. Not once, but daily, moment by moment, breath by breath. So I step into this day not as one chasing worth, but as one embraced by grace. Let it shape my thoughts. Let it soften my edges. Let it lead me toward the life you always meant for me to live, not weighed down, not worn out, but full of hope, full of wonder, full of the quiet assurance that your grace will always be enough. Father, as grace continues to settle into the corners of my soul, I find myself facing something I did not expect, something I have kept buried beneath layers of resilience and distraction. It is not just regret I carry, it is resentment, and not only toward others. Sometimes, most deeply, toward myself, for the time I believe I wasted, for the seasons I let slip through my fingers, for the years I gave away to fear, to confusion, to people who did not stay. I have carried silent frustration toward the very passage of time, as if somehow I could demand it to return and try again. But today, in the light of your grace, I realize I cannot keep walking forward while dragging those old grievances behind me. They have grown too heavy. They slow my steps and cloud my vision. If I am to receive the restoration you long to give, I must clear the ground of bitterness. I must loosen my grip on what I think I am owed. I must forgive not only others, but the years themselves. God, help me begin. I do not even know what full forgiveness looks like for time that cannot be returned. But I know you do. You are the one who lives outside of time, who holds every moment in your hands, who sees not only what was but what still can be. And so I bring it to you, the grief, the disappointment, the subtle anger I have carried toward how things unfolded, the plans that never took shape, the delays I could not explain, the chapters that closed before they truly began. I place them at your feet not to forget, but to release. There are moments I look back on with tightness in my chest, relationships that ended without healing, Doors that closed while I still stood waiting outside. Dreams that felt so alive and yet faded quietly into the background as life went on. I kept them hidden like pages torn from a book, unsure whether they still mattered to anyone, even to you. But I see now that you never discarded those pages. You kept them tenderly, as part of the story, not to shame me, but to redeem them in your time. So I choose forgiveness, not because it is easy, but because it is necessary. I forgive the younger version of me, who did not know what I know now, who chose comfort over calling, who hesitated when she should have spoken, who stayed when she should have left, who left when she should have stayed. I let her be human. I let her be loved. I let her be yours. I forgive the people who wounded me in their own brokenness, the ones who took more than they gave, who left when I needed them most, who used my kindness without returning it. I acknowledge the pain, but I no longer give it power. I refuse to let what others did define how I live now. They may have written in the margins of my story, but they do not get the final word. You do. I even forgive the silence, the long stretches of unanswered prayers, the days when nothing made sense, the waiting that stretched longer than I thought I could bear. I forgive the time that felt empty, not because it was meaningless, but because I could not yet see what you were planting beneath the surface. I forgive the years that felt lost, knowing that nothing surrendered to you is ever truly wasted. And Father, most of all, I ask for the courage to forgive myself, to release the harsh judgments I have whispered in secret, the inner accusations that rise when I remember what I should have done differently, the moments I replay over and over, wishing I could rewrite them. Let your love speak louder than my self-blame. Let your truth silence the shame that lingers like an old echo in my thoughts. Teach me to be patient with my healing, to be kind to the parts of me that are still learning, to be gentle with the places that are still tender. Help me to see myself through your eyes, not as someone who failed, but as someone who fell and stood again. Someone you never left. Someone you are still shaping with every breath. This forgiveness is not a one-time decision. I know it will rise again on days when memory stings. But today, I choose to begin. I choose to soften what has hardened. I choose to bless what I once cursed. I choose to release what I once clung to in pain. I choose to let the past become a teacher, not a prison. Let my heart be soil that can receive the seeds of your restoration. Let no bitterness poison the ground. Let no old anger keep me from the joy you are preparing. If I must revisit the past, let it be with compassion, not accusation. Let it be with grace, not guilt. Let it be with hope, not hostility. You are the God who turns mourning into dancing, who lifts the weight I thought I had to carry forever, who writes new chapters even when the old ones are stained with sorrow. You are not waiting for me to forget what hurt me. You are inviting me to heal from it, to walk forward without dragging every scar as a banner, to believe that forgiveness is not just possible, it is powerful. So here I am, with open hands again. Let your spirit search the hidden places. Let your mercy wash over the corners I keep guarded. Let your voice drown out the old accusations. I want to live light, not heavy, soft, not hardened, free, not bound. Let the act of forgiving become the doorway through which I walk into the life you have always wanted for me. And when I am tempted to look back with anger, remind me that your hand was still upon me, that even in what I call waste, you see wisdom. Even in what I call delay, you were preparing something deeper. Even in what I call failure, you were sowing the seeds of grace. Let that truth be the anchor when forgiveness feels too far. Today, I choose to trust you with my past, not just my future. I choose to forgive what I once thought unforgivable. I choose to believe that freedom is real, even for me, and in doing so, I make room for what is next, for what is good, for what is coming, for what is already beginning to bloom beneath the surface. Lord, forgiveness has opened a space inside me I did not know I had been guarding so tightly. Releasing what I once held in pain has left room for something softer to rise. Not a feeling, exactly, but a shift, a trembling awareness that I can meet you here, in the aftermath, in this holy, tender place where emotion has no words, only presence. And in this place, what remains are my tears. They are not loud, they do not rush. They come quietly, like a slow rain falling on dry ground. Some are old, waiting years to be shed. Some are new, stirred by the sudden recognition of just how long I have been holding it all together. I have cried in silence before. Behind doors, behind strength, behind smiles. But now, here, in your nearness, I bring them to the surface without shame. I lay them down as offering, as worship, as truth. God, if tears are a language, let mine speak freely. Let them say what words cannot. Let them carry what my heart cannot yet form into prayer. Let them be a river that carries grief, but also releases it. Let them cleanse what bitterness could not touch. Let them soften the soil of my soul so something new can take root. I used to think tears were weakness, that they were something to control, to quiet, to hide. But now I see them differently. I see that tears are sacred, that they do not fall unnoticed, that you keep count of every one, that when I cry, I am not falling apart, I am opening. I am surrendering in a language only you fully understand. And that is not weakness, that is intimacy. You do not turn away from tears. You move toward them. You are drawn to the soundless cries, the heaving breaths, the quiet trembling. You came close to the woman who wept at your feet. You paused for the blind man who called out in desperation. You wept outside the tomb of a friend, even though you knew resurrection was coming. Your tears were not a sign of powerlessness. They were proof of your heart. So here I am, letting mine fall freely, not because everything is wrong, but because everything is real, because I am learning that in your presence. I can bring my full self, the strong and the fragile, the sure and the unsure. I do not have to filter my grief or measure my emotion. You welcome it all. You meet me here, not with explanations, but with presence. And somehow, that is enough. Father, Let this be the altar where healing begins, not through fixing, but through feeling, not through answers, but through honesty. Let my tears be the water that softens what disappointment has hardened. Let them fall as prayers, as confessions, as declarations that I still believe in your nearness, even when I cannot explain your silence. I bring you the tears I cried alone in the dark, the ones that never reached the surface, but lived quietly beneath the business. The tears I swallowed because I thought they made me look unstable. The ones I held back because someone else needed me to be strong. The ones that rise now, not in shame, but in release. I give them all to you, not to be erased, but to be seen, to be held, to be sanctified. Let this moment be a turning point, not dramatic, but deep, not loud, but lasting. Let it mark the beginning of something soft and sacred, a shift in how I carry my past, how I hold my emotions, how I meet you. I want to live unhidden. I want to love with an open heart. I want to walk through each day grounded in the truth that you are not afraid of my feelings. You are not threatened by my vulnerability. You are not distant when I weep. You draw closer. Lord, let my tears be seeds. Let them plant something beautiful, even if I cannot see it yet. Let them nourish the unseen places where your restoration is already growing. Let them remind me that mourning is not a detour from healing. It is part of the path. It is the honesty that makes space for joy to return. You said those who sow in tears will reap in joy. I do not fully understand how that happens, but I trust that you do. I trust that you are collecting every drop, not to shame me, but to use them, to transform what was pain into peace, what was loss into life, what was weeping into witness. So today I stop holding back. I let the tears fall. I let the emotion rise. I let the grief speak. And I do it all with the quiet faith that you are near, that you are not waiting for me to dry my eyes before you come close. You are here already. You are here in the raw, in the real, in the broken and open places. You are here in the H. You are here in the stillness that follows. You are here when I run out of words and just sit in the weight of what is. God, help me not rush past this. Help me not minimize what hurts just to get to what heals. Help me hold space for sorrow, even as I hope for joy. Teach me that both can exist together, that faith is not the absence of feeling, but the trust to bring every feeling into your hands. You are not impatient. You are not overwhelmed. You are not keeping score. You are simply present, steady, kind, attentive to every drop that falls from my eyes. And in that knowing, I find rest. In that presence, I find peace, not because everything is resolved, but because I no longer have to pretend. So I sit with you now, in the stillness after the release, in the quiet after the cry, and I breathe. I breathe without fear of being too much, without fear of being weak. I breathe as one who is safe, as one who is known, as one who has laid something down on sacred ground and trusts that it matters. Let this altar of tears become the foundation of joy. Let what I release in sorrow return one day as strength. Let this not be the end of something, but the beginning of tenderness, the start of living with a heart unclenched, with a soul open wide, with eyes that see you in every quiet moment that follows. Father, after the tears, after the surrender, after the release of all that weighed heavy in my soul, I sense something shifting. It is quiet, almost fragile, but it is real. It is like the very first green shoot breaking through hard, wintered ground. I would have missed it if I had not slowed down. I would have overlooked it if I were still rushing. But today, I see it. I feel it. Something is beginning again. This is not a loud transformation. It is not sudden or spectacular. It is subtle, gentle, a feeling that hope is no longer a stranger, that maybe what I thought was over is still capable of becoming, that even though I have walked through dry and barren places, your hand never stopped working beneath the surface. And now, with breath steadier and eyes clearer, I notice what is stirring within me: peace where there was once panic, tenderness where there was once bitterness, expectancy where there was once exhaustion. Lord, I have learned to live in survival mode. I have learned to function without light, to keep going without feeling. But I no longer want to live like that. I no longer want to mistake numbness for strength. I want to be awake. I want to be present to what you are doing, even if it comes in small and quiet ways. I want to recognize your fingerprints in the moments I used to overlook. It is easy to believe in restoration when it looks like abundance, when doors swing open and prayers are answered quickly. But this small flicker of life is a different kind of miracle, one that whispers instead of shouts, one that requires me to stay close, to watch with tenderness, to wait without rushing the process. This kind of restoration does not begin in the loud. It begins in the still, and here in the stillness, I feel you building something new. God, help me not to dismiss small beginnings. Help me not to overlook the soft evidence of healing simply because it does not look like the outcome I imagined. Teach me to celebrate the subtle shifts the day I woke up without dread, the moment I caught myself smiling without forcing it, the way my shoulders sat lower because I was not bracing for the worst. These things matter. They are signs that you are here, that something is changing. I used to think restoration had to mean getting everything back. The time, the opportunities, the relationships. But now I see it differently. It is not just about recovery, it is about transformation. It is about you creating something I could not see before. Something better. Something deeper. You do not just return what was lost. You replace it with what is needed. And that, I am beginning to believe, is the true miracle. Father, let me stay soft in this season. Let me nurture what is growing, even if it is fragile. Let me protect the peace that is emerging, even if it is still unfamiliar. I do not want to uproot the new by clinging to the old. I do not want to miss the blessing in front of me by longing for what is behind me. Help me hold space for what is becoming, even before it becomes fully formed. You are the gardener of my soul. You know what to prune and when. You know what to plant and where. You know when to water and when to wait. So I trust your timing. I trust your hands. I trust that what you are beginning in me will not be abandoned halfway. What you start, you finish. What you touch, you transform. I bring you my faith, small as it may be. It is not loud, but it is alive. It is not polished, but it is real. I offer it to you like a seed, asking that you breathe upon it. Let it grow. Let it stretch toward the light. Let it become more than I could ever make it on my own. I do not ask for everything to change in an instant. I ask only to stay in step with your process, to not rush what you are doing, to not despise what takes time. There is beauty in beginnings, even when they come after seasons of loss. There is strength in returning to life after walking through shadows. I feel that strength now, not as pressure, but as presence. The courage to believe again, the tenderness to hope again, the willingness to trust again, not because I am naive, but because you have proven trustworthy through the silence and the sorrow. Let me pay attention. Let me notice when laughter returns to my voice, even if softly. Let me mark the moments when I feel a little lighter without knowing exactly why. Let me treasure the way I now see others with more grace, because I have finally begun to receive grace for myself. Let me witness the rebuild not with fear of it falling, but with awe that it ever began again at all. Lord, this is holy ground. Not because everything has been restored, but because the restoration has begun. I sense you breathing life into places I thought were gone. I sense you calling forth the pieces of me that had gone dormant. I sense you drawing out the purpose that once felt buried too deep to recover, and I want to respond. I want to partner with what you are doing. I want to live like healing is here, even if it is still unfolding. So I wake up today with a quiet yes, a yes to growth, a yes to joy in small things, a yes to healing that starts slow and becomes strong. I do not need to see the entire path to keep walking. I do not need every answer to keep believing. I just need to know that you are in this with me, and I do. I know it now in ways I did not before. I know it in the silence that no longer feels empty. I know it in the peace that meets me before the world stirs. Father, thank you for beginnings, for not giving up on what I thought was over, for proving that broken ground can still bring forth life, for teaching me that restoration does not always shout it, often whispers. And those whispers, when heard with a surrendered heart, can change everything. Let me carry this into the day ahead not as a demand for more, but as gratitude for what already is. Let me tend to what you have started. Let me nurture the signs of life with reverence. Let me live like hope is not a fragile thing, but a faithful one. Let me remember that the work you do in secret will one day be seen, and even now, it is enough to know that something new has begun. Father, as I notice the small beginnings of restoration taking shape in my soul, I realize how much of what you are healing lies beneath the surface. It is not always the visible pain that holds me back. It is the quiet wounds, the ones no one sees, the ones I barely acknowledge myself. And now that I have begun to feel again, now that hope is slowly returning, I also feel what I once buried. Memories I tucked away for survival, emotions I numbed so I could keep moving. These hidden wounds rise gently, not to accuse, but to be healed. You have always known they were there, even when I did not have the words, even when I pushed them down, even when I told myself I had moved on. You saw the fear that settled into my bones, the betrayal that shaped the way I trust, the shame that clung to me in moments when I smiled on the outside. You saw how I learned to hide what hurt so I would not seem weak, so I would not fall apart, so I could be who others needed me to be. But now, Lord, in your gentle presence, I am learning I do not need to hide anymore. You are not asking for performance. You are asking for honesty, not the kind I speak out loud to impress others, but the honesty that sits quietly in the center of my soul and whispers, "This still hurts." And I trust that you are not afraid of that truth. You are not overwhelmed by what I carry. You do not flinch at the sight of my broken places. You move toward them with tenderness. So I bring them to you now, the silent wounds that shaped my thoughts, the disappointments that lingered long after the moment passed, the rejections I never quite recovered from, the comments that seemed small but cut deep, the decisions I regret but can't undo. I offer them all not to be relived, but to be released, not to be justified, but to be held in your hands. There is pain I never gave myself permission to feel. Grief I never named because I thought it was too small to matter. But nothing is too small for you. Nothing is dismissed by your love. If it touched my heart, it touches yours. So I invite you into the room I have kept locked, into the memories I have kept buried, into the parts of me I have avoided because I did not know what to do with them. God, I ask you to speak into those places, the wounds I wrapped in silence, the spaces that still carry the echo of past pain. I ask you to touch what I thought was too far gone, to bring comfort where I only knew numbness, to bring clarity where confusion has lived too long. I do not want to live with hidden pain anymore. I want to live free, whole, anchored in truth, not trapped by past experiences. Show me where I have built walls instead of boundaries, where I have shut people out in the name of protection, but at the cost of connection. Show me where I have assumed you were like those who hurt me. Show me where I have held on to control so tightly that I have blocked your healing. I do not want to manage my wounds. I want to be healed, truly, fully, inwardly. I know healing is not always immediate. I know it often happens slowly, layer by layer. So I won't rush it. I won't force it. But I will cooperate with it. I will say yes to the uncomfortable moments of awareness. I will stay present when old feelings rise instead of pushing them away. I will let you show me what still needs your touch, what still needs to be grieved, what still needs to be forgiven, what still needs to be restored. Sometimes the deepest wounds are not from what happened, but from what did not, the love I needed but never received, the apology that never came, the support that never showed up, the safety I longed for but never found. These absences left marks too, and you know them intimately. You know where to pour love where there was lack. You know how to fill the voids that shaped how I see the world, how I see myself, even how I see you. And so I let your love go there now, into the empty spaces, into the silence, into the confusion. I ask you to realign what was distorted by pain, to rewrite what was misinterpreted through fear, to rebuild what was cracked by disappointment. Let your truth be louder than old lies. Let your peace settle over every anxious place. Let your voice be the one I follow, not the voice of past wounds. Father, I thank you for being patient with me, for not rushing my process, for waiting with kindness until I was ready to open these doors, for staying when others left, for seeing what no one else could see, for loving what I did not know how to love in myself. You are the healer, not only of bodies, but of hearts, of minds, of memories. Today I choose to partner with your healing. I choose to believe that nothing is beyond your reach. Not even the wounds I have forgotten how to name. I choose to believe that healing is possible even in places that have been broken for a long time. I choose to trust that you are not trying to take me back in time, but to lead me forward in freedom. Help me notice your presence as I heal. Help me celebrate the small victories, the softer response where I once reacted in pain, the quiet peace where anxiety once ruled, the open heart where fear once lived. Let me recognize healing as it unfolds, even when it does not come with fanfare. Let me be gentle with myself as you are gentle with me. And when it feels like too much, remind me that you are strong enough for it all, that you are not discouraged by my process, that you delight in every step I take toward wholeness, that even when I falter, you are steady, even when I resist, you are patient, even when I question, you remain faithful. So I walk through this day with courage, not because I have everything figured out, but because I know you are with me in everything I face. You are healing what I cannot fix. You are soothing what I cannot explain. You are restoring what I never thought could be whole again. And because of that, I will keep moving forward, not in fear, but in faith, not in hiding, but in hope, not in silence, but in trust that what you begin, you will finish in beauty. Lord, now that you have begun to mend the places where I was silently bleeding, I sense a quiet shift within me, a gentle invitation to rise again, not in haste, not with bravado, but with the steady strength that comes from being held in your healing hands. I am not who I was when this journey began. Something within me has awakened. I feel it in the way I breathe deeper, in the way I begin to lift my gaze instead of keeping it low in shame or fear. You are not just patching the brokenness. You are building within me a new foundation. It is strange to stand again after lying in sorrow for so long. My legs feel unfamiliar under the weight of hope. My spirit is both cautious and expectant, like the first stretch of light after a long night. I do not pretend to have it all figured out, but I can no longer deny that your strength is becoming mine. Not strength born of pride or stubbornness, but the kind rooted in trust, a trust that has been tested and has survived the fire. Father, I thank you for giving me the courage to get up, for whispering truth to my weary soul until it finally began to believe it. You did not force me to move. You did not shame me for being still. You waited patiently until I could hear the quiet call to rise, not to run, not to fix, but simply to stand in the truth of who you say I am. And now that I am standing, I ask for the strength to remain. Because standing is not just a posture, it is a declaration. It is saying, I will no longer be defined by what broke me. It is choosing to live in the light after learning to navigate in shadows. It is admitting I may still tremble, but I will not turn back. Lord, I stand today not because I am strong, but because you have carried me here. Help me remember that rising does not mean rushing. I do not need to leap forward. I just need to remain upright in you. Let me walk again, not in fear of falling, but in awe of how far you have brought me. You are the reason I can stand without the weight of the past anchoring me down. You are the strength beneath every step I take. God, give me the boldness to take up space again, to believe that I am allowed to be here, that I am no longer a shadow in the background of my own life. For too long, I shrank myself to make others comfortable. I dulled my light to avoid criticism. I lowered my voice because I believed my pain disqualified me from purpose. But you have reminded me that brokenness is not the end, it is the place where you rebuild something stronger. So I will not apologize for healing. I will not hide the strength you are growing within me. I will not pretend to be small so others do not feel threatened. I will walk with grace, but also with conviction, with tenderness, but also with clarity. I will take each step knowing I am not walking alone. I have you as my guide, my protector, my source. There may still be days when the weight of life tries to press me down again. Days when old patterns whisper lies that I thought I had silenced. On those days, Lord, remind me that strength is not perfection, that standing again is not about never wavering, but about returning to you again and again, until it becomes second nature. Remind me that I am allowed to rest, to ask for help, to stumble and be caught by your mercy. Let this rising be rooted in humility. Let me not forget what it took to get here. Let me have compassion for others who are still lying in their pain. Let me never look down on those who have not yet found the strength to get up. Instead, let my standing be a testimony not to my own power, but to your unwavering presence. Let it be an invitation to others. If he can raise me, he can raise you too. Father, I ask that you solidify this strength within me, not through dramatic displays, but in the quiet choices I make each day, in the boundaries I uphold, in the truths I speak kindly but firmly, in the moments I choose faith over fear, hope over despair, love over bitterness. Each small act become a brick in the life you are rebuilding with me. I still remember how it felt to be knocked down. The confusion, the numbness, the shame. But now I carry that memory not as a burden, but as a reminder that even my lowest moments were not beyond your reach. You met me there. And now, as I take my place again in this world, I do so with gratitude in every breath. God, I ask you to walk with me as I begin to move again, to not only help me stand, but teach me to run without fear, to dance without chains, to live without apology. Let my life become a reflection of your mercy and might. Let my story sing of your faithfulness, not just in the moments of triumph, but in the long stretch of struggle that led here. Today I take up my mat not to prove anything, but to carry with me a symbol of where I have been and how far I have come. Like the man you healed by the pool, I want to leave behind what once held me down. I will carry it as a quiet testimony that you heal. You restore. You resurrect. You give strength to the weary and joy to the crushed. So I step into this day with a heart that is no longer paralyzed, a mind that is no longer stuck in loops of fear, a soul that is learning to soar. You have taught me that rising again is not the end of weakness, but the beginning of living with you as my strength. And that strength is steady, secure, sacred. I want to forget where I have been, but I also want to stay there. I am moving forward. I am breathing deeper. I am standing taller. And every step I take is another echo of your grace, another note in the song you have been writing in the silence. I may not know every word of that song yet, but I trust the melody, because you are the composer, and you never leave a song unfinished. Lord, as I continue walking in the strength you have placed within me, I now feel the quiet tug toward surrender. Not the kind born from defeat, but the kind rooted in wisdom. A knowing that holding on to everything is not strength, and that some things, no matter how familiar, how dear, how tightly I have wrapped them around my identity, were never meant to stay. You have begun a good work in me, and I sense you are calling me now to unclench my fists and let go of what cannot journey forward with me. There are things I have carried not because they served me, but because they were all I knew. Patterns I have repeated, not out of desire, but out of habit. Wounds I have nursed because the pain at least felt predictable. But you are not a God of stagnation. You call me forward, and in doing so, you gently begin to peel my fingers away from what I thought I could never release. Father, help me to trust you with my letting go. I do not want to cling to broken identities, old defenses, or narratives that kept me bound. I want to live with open hands. Teach me to recognize the difference between what is essential and what is merely familiar. Just because something has been with me for a long time does not mean it belongs with me forever. There are relationships I have held onto that no longer carry mutual grace. There are fears I have fed for so long that they grown comfortable in the corners of my mind. There are stories I have told myself about who I am unworthy, unseen, irredeemable that must now be laid to rest. You are not asking me to forget, but to release, not to erase my past, but to stop letting it govern my future. Letting go is not rejection. It is reverence for the new life you are breathing into me. It is a holy act, a way of clearing the space for what you have always wanted to place in my hands. You cannot fill what is already full. So today, I empty myself before you, not in despair, but in expectation, because I believe you will not leave me empty for long. Lord, let this be the moment where I stop romanticizing what once wounded me. Help me see clearly, not with nostalgia or fear, but with discernment. Show me what no longer serves the person I am becoming. If I am to step fully into the life you are offering, I must leave behind the weight I was never meant to carry, and I know I do not have to do it alone. You are the God who unbinds graves. You called Lazarus out, but you also commanded those around him to remove his burial clothes. I believe you are doing the same with me, calling me into life and slowly removing the remnants of what once bound me. Let me not be tempted to wrap myself back in those cloths. Let me not return to what buried me. Sometimes what I am called to release is not a person or a circumstance, but a mindset. The idea that I have to earn love. The belief that I must always be the strong one. The fear that I will be left behind if I stop performing. Strip away these lies, God, and replace them with truth. Your truth that I am already loved, that I am already held, that I am not alone. Give me courage to mourn what I am letting go of, to acknowledge the loss without shame. Some things I grieve, even if they were painful, because they were part of me for so long. But grief can be holy too. It clears the heart for joy. Let my tears, if they come, be an offering, a letting go, a soft surrender, a whispered yes to what is next. And when I feel the pull to pick it back up, to revisit, to rehearse, to reattach, remind me gently why I laid it down. Remind me that growth requires space. That freedom means nothing if I remain tethered to what once enslaved me. Remind me that healing is not about pretending the past never happened, but choosing not to live there anymore. God, give me new eyes, eyes that see beyond the familiar pain, that glimpse the horizon you are calling me toward, that notice the buds of new life where once only thorns grew. I want to fix my gaze not on what I am leaving behind, but on the one who leads me forward. You, the one who parts seas, the one who turns mourning into dancing, the one who makes all things new. Even as I let go, give me patience. The unraveling is not always instant. Sometimes what is tightly woven takes time to unwind. I will not rush this process. I will walk with you, hand in hand, one thread at a time, until the garment of shame and fear falls away, and I stand clothed in peace and purpose. Teach me to breathe without anxiety, to sit in the empty spaces without filling them in haste. Let my silence be sacred. Let my stillness be holy. Let my waiting be worship. For I know you are not just the God of open doors, but also the God who sits with me in the hallway. Lord, thank you for never forcing my release, but inviting it. For waiting until my heart was ready to say goodbye to what once defined me. For holding me steady as I loosen my grip. For assuring me that what is ahead is better than what I have left behind, not because it is easier, but because it is truer, deeper, more aligned with who you made me to be. I will not fear the loss of things that kept me in false safety. I will not dread the quiet after the noise is gone. I will not mourn the mask I once wore to be accepted, for you are leading me into authenticity, into light, into freedom, and freedom always requires release. So here I am, Lord, not with clenched fists, but with open palms, not with panic, but with peace. I trust you to fill the space I make, to honor the sacrifice of my surrender with the richness of your presence, to take what I have given up and redeem it into something I never imagined. Let my letting go be my act of worship today, a holy declaration that I trust you more than my comfort, more than my old stories, more than the fear that kept me small. You are my enough. You are the safe place I run to, and I will follow you, not with a heavy heart, but with a heart growing lighter with every release. Father, even as I open my hands to let go of what no longer belongs in my life, I begin to feel the quiet wonder of what you are placing into them instead. There is no need you overlook, no hunger you ignore, no emptiness you dismiss. You are the God who provides not from excess, but with intention daily, personally, precisely. You know what I need even before I speak it. Yet you still invite me to bring my desires before you. And so I come, not demanding more than I am given, but asking for the grace to see how enough lives in the ordinary. Sometimes I have chased extravagant answers, while missing the miracle in the mundane. I have overlooked the quiet mercy of a morning without fear, a breath without pain, conversation filled with kindness. But you are not only the God of thunderous breakthroughs. You are also the God who slips daily bread onto my table when I am too wary to ask. Help me not to treat the daily as lesser. Teach me to receive your provisions with fresh wonder. I know you do not give in bulk so I can stockpile control. You give me what I need for this day, for this moment, for this step. And though my anxious heart often wishes for a guarantee of tomorrow, you lovingly draw me back to the present, to this breath, this sunrise, this portion. You are reminding me that dependence is not weakness. It is communion. It is trust deepened with every request, every answer, every silence. God, I confess that I have often equated abundance with visible gain. I thought the full pantry meant favor. I assumed comfort was a sign of closeness. But you have never promised excess, only sufficiency. You are not trying to impress me with riches. You are trying to shape me through relationship. And when you say daily bread, you are also saying, come back tomorrow. You are saying, let us walk together again. You are saying, I will not run out. In the desert, you gave manna just enough for each day. Nothing more. Nothing less. Those who tried to hoard it found it spoiled. You were not being cruel. You were teaching your people to trust that you would come through again and again. I am no different. When I demand more than today requires, it is often because I doubt you will show up tomorrow. Forgive me for every time I have let fear of the future rob me of the miracle of now. Lord, open my eyes to see how often you feed more than just my stomach. There is bread for the body, yes, but also bread for the soul, words of encouragement. When I am disheartened, songs that find me in my silence, laughter that loosens my sorrow. You are feeding every part of me, not always in the way I expect, but always in the way I need. You prepare a table in the presence of my uncertainty and whisper, eat, and know that I am here. There are days when what you provide does not feel like what I asked for, when the answers come wrapped in waiting, or the blessings arrive in the form of pruning. But even then, you are feeding something deeper. You are nourishing faith. You are strengthening endurance. You are cultivating trust that runs beneath the surface. And if I let you, you will use today's provision to prepare me for tomorrow's unknowns. Father, help me to release my grip on expectations. Let me not miss your provision because I am too focused on my preference. Some of your richest blessings come in plain wrapping. Some of your greatest answers come disguised as ordinary people. inconvenient interruptions or quiet redirections. Give me discernment to recognize when the bread you offer is not what I envisioned, but is still exactly what I need. Thank you for feeding me through others, for the friend who checks in at just the right moment, for the stranger who smiles when I feel invisible, for the teacher, the mother, the neighbor, the child, each one delivering a piece of heaven's provision in earthly form. Remind me that the bread you give is not always dropped from the sky. Sometimes it walks on two legs, breathes, listens, hugs, and speaks life when I feel most empty. And Lord, help me not only to receive, but also to give. If you are placing bread in my hands today, may it not stop with me. Let my provision become someone else's answer. Let my encouragement become someone else's hope. Multiply the little I have, as you did with the loaves and fish, and feed those around me, not so that I am praised, so that you are known. When I feel like I have nothing left to offer, remind me that even crumbs in your hands can become a feast. Even the smallest gesture, when moved by compassion, can nourish another soul. You are not asking me to be the source, only to be available. I will not wait to feel ready. I will bring what I have, however humble, and trust you to make it enough. God, let me approach this day with a heart that watches for your provision, not one that demands outcomes. Let me be aware of the ways you sustain me, not just in food and finances, but in wisdom, comfort, clarity, and peace. Let me notice how the light streaming through the window is its own kind of bread, how silence can be filling, how stillness can be sacred, how your presence alone can satisfy the ache I tried to silence with noise. You do not forget my needs. You do not ignore my longings. You see my tired body and my hungry spirit, and you answer with the perfect portion, enough to keep me going, enough to remind me I am seen, enough to teach me that you are near. You are not the God of leftovers. You are the God of timely sustenance. You meet me exactly where I am and give me exactly what I need to keep walking. So I will not worry about tomorrow's meal. Tomorrow's answers. Tomorrow. Strength. Today has its own portion, and you are faithful. I will take what you offer, bless it with gratitude, and let it nourish me. I will trust that what I need for this moment is already in my hands or on its way. I will rest in the rhythm of your provision, not too early, never too late, always on time. Let my life become a prayer of dependence, a song that sings not of my capacity to gather, but of your willingness to give. I do not need to be self-sufficient. I only need to be close to you. And in that closeness, there is always enough light for the next step, enough strength for the next task, enough love to overflow, enough peace to quiet the storm within. Lord, if your provision meets me in the moment, then surely your voice meets me in the stillness. You are not only the God who speaks loudly through miracles, but the one who whispers through waiting. And so here I am, Father, not rushing you for answers, not demanding a resolution, but simply sitting in this quiet place, asking you to meet me where my words run out. I have spoken so much, prayed so hard, tried so often to be heard, but now I want to learn how to hear. Stillness is not something I easily embrace. I often fill the silence with questions, worries, distractions, and noise, afraid of what I might feel when everything else fades. But maybe that is the very space where you long to meet me. Maybe the silence is not empty at all, it is full of you, full of presence, full of promise, full of things too sacred for sound. You are not a God who rushes. You do not panic. You do not scramble to respond. You move with intention, with peace, with the deep rhythm of eternity. And while I am caught in the urgency of my days, you invite me to wait not as punishment, but as preparation. You do not waste the stillness. In it, you are shaping trust, deepening my roots, and teaching me that faith is not a transaction. It is a relationship that grows in silence as much as it does in speech. I do not always know what to do with waiting. I have been taught to chase results, to measure worth by movement, to equate action with value. But here in this quiet moment, I sense you dismantling those beliefs. You are showing me that growth can happen beneath the surface, in places no one sees. That sometimes the most powerful thing I can do is be still and believe you are working when I see nothing at all. God, help me not to mistake your silence for absence. Help me not to assume you are distant when you are simply working in ways I do not yet understand. You have proven yourself faithful again and again, and yet I still fall into fear when I cannot trace your hand. Remind me of all the times you were moving behind the scenes, orchestrating provision, arranging healing, aligning timing, all without my knowledge. Teach me to breathe slowly through the unanswered, to trust that delay does not mean denial, to believe that what feels like a pause is often protection. You know what I am not ready for. You see what I cannot see. And in your mercy, you hold back certain things not to withhold joy, but to preserve it. You are not in a hurry because you are not afraid. Lord, there is something sacred about surrendering the timeline, about saying, I trust you enough to wait. Not passively, not with resignation, but with hope active, living hope that watches, listens, and prepares for what is to come. Help me to stop trying to rush a God who is never late. You do not bend to my deadlines. You call me to bend to your wisdom. And in this waiting space, you are still speaking, not always through dramatic signs, but through the quiet assurance that I am held, loved, and seen. Your silence is not cruel. It is full of presence. It invites me to lean in rather than pull away. It challenges me to stop striving and start listening, to stop performing and start abiding. Even when I feel like nothing is changing, you are changing me. In the waiting, I find parts of myself that need healing. I face fears I have tried to outrun. I discover desires that no longer serve the journey ahead. And slowly, subtly, I become someone new, not because I have done more, but because I have trusted more. You are not measuring my faith by how loud I pray or how much I achieve. You are shaping it through the quiet moments when I choose to stay close even when I do not understand. When I sit in the silence and say, "Still, I believe." That is where intimacy is born. That is where strength is forged. That is where I meet you not as a problem solver, but as my source. Lord, waiting reveals what I believe about you. If I see you as distant or indifferent, I will grow bitter. But if I know you as kind and intentional, I will wait with open hands. So shape my view of you first. Let trust rise from knowing who you are. Remind me that you are not playing games with my heart. You are refining it. When I am tempted to fill the silence with worry, teach me to worship instead. Let my questions become invitations for you to draw closer. Let my stillness become fertile ground for your truth to take root. I do not need all the answers to move forward. I only need to know you are with me, and you are. Even now, as I pause in the quiet, I sense the peace that passes understanding. It does not erase the questions, but it settles the soul. It tells me that being still is not inactivity, it is intentional surrender. It is choosing to believe that you are not only ahead of me, but also beside me in the waiting room. Help me not to resent this season. Let me receive it as a gift, a sacred pause, a moment to remember that my life is not held together by my own hands, but by yours. Waiting teaches me to yield, to stop grasping, to let go of timelines and lean into trust. And in that yielding, something shifts. Fear loses its grip, hope grows its roots, and faith begins to rise. Not on the wings of certainty, but on the breath of quiet assurance. God. Waiting is not a punishment. It is a slow unfolding of something precious, like a seed pushing through the soil, unseen by the eye, but bursting with promise. I do not see all that you are doing, but I know you are doing something. Something beautiful. Something lasting. Something worth the wait. So I choose to rest here not because the waiting is easy, but because you are in it. Not because I have figured everything out, but because I no longer need to. You are enough. Your presence in the silence is enough. Your stillness does not mean stagnation. It means intimacy. It means you are near. And that, more than any answer, is what I need today. Let the quiet become my teacher. Let the waiting become my worship. Let the stillness become the soil where trust grows deep. And when you speak, whether in thunder or in whisper, I will be ready. Not because I have earned it, but because I have learned to listen. Lord, in the stillness of this morning light, I bring you what remains of yesterday, its bruises and its blessings, and I place them at your feet. I feel the echo of old failures whispering behind me, the sting of roads taken and untaken. But here, right here, in this new breath, I dare to believe that a beginning is possible. Not a return to what once was, but a sacred turning toward what can still become. You are the God who makes all things new, not by erasing the past, but by redeeming it. So I ask, with trembling hope, teach my heart the courage to begin again. God, when I look at the broken pieces of what I once dreamed, I confess how often I have been tempted to sweep them aside, to say it is too late, that I have wasted too much time, too much trust. And yet, you see differently. You see a canvas, not a catastrophe. You see seeds, not ashes. You speak life where I only see decay. You whisper growth where I only see stagnation. How is it, Lord, that you never lose hope in me, even when I have buried mine in silence and shame, that you keep calling me forward, even when I have chosen the safety of hiding? Father, you know how many times I have tried and fallen, how many times I have risen, only to stumble again. I have told myself I was done, that maybe I was not meant to be strong, that maybe boldness belonged to others. But you come to me not with condemnation, but with quiet strength. You remind me of the prophets who fled caves and the disciples who denied you. And yet you called them back not to where they were, but to where you knew they could go. So here I am, asking not for a map, but for the courage to take one more step. There is something sacred about this beginning, not flashy, not loud, but deep and real. It is not about conquering mountains in a day, but about believing you are in the climb. It is about waking up today and choosing to believe that yesterday's no does not cancel out today's yes. It is the holy rebellion against the voices that say, I am stuck, that nothing will change. In you, every breath is a doorway, every dawn an invitation. And so, I lift my heart again to you, trusting that small faith is still faith, and shaky steps are still steps. Lord, I think of the barren places in my life, dreams left follow, promises I gave up on, prayers I stopped praying. I lay them before you now, not with desperation, but with expectation. You are not limited by my limits. You are not afraid of my questions. You are not deterred by my detours. You take the wilderness and make it a garden. You take the silence and write a song. You are not merely the God of second chances, but the God of infinite mercy. So I let go of my timelines and grab hold of your hand. Even if I begin slowly, I begin with you. There is a tenderness that rises in this surrender, a relief that I do not have to be perfect to begin again, that I do not need every answer to take the next faithful step, that the journey forward is not powered by willpower alone, but by grace that flows freely. I am not starting from scratch. I am starting from experience, from lessons learned in shadows, from wisdom carved by waiting, from strength forged in sorrow. And that is not a weak place to start, it is a holy one. Father, in this place of beginning, I ask you to silence the voice of comparison, to drown out the chorus that says, I am behind. Let me not measure my pace by the progress of others, but by the presence of your Spirit within me. Let my beginning not be tainted by the need to prove something to the world, but to move closer to you. I am not trying to impress, I am trying to obey. I am not chasing applause, I am chasing your heart, and in that pursuit, there is peace. Even as fear tries to tell me I will fail again, your love reminds me that failure is never final in your hands. That even if I stumble again, you will catch me not with frustration, but with fierce compassion. So help me start today, not with swagger, but with surrender, not with pressure, but with presence. Let me hear your voice louder than my doubts. Let me see your light even in the fog. Let me move, even if I move slowly. I thank you, Lord, for every time you held me together when I was falling apart. For every moment you waited patiently until I was ready. For never forcing me forward, but never giving up on my return. Today, I walk toward you, not because I am strong, but because you are faithful. I begin again, not because I have it all figured out, but because I trust you are already in the place I am walking toward. And if I falter tomorrow or the next day, remind me that beginnings are not one-time events, but a rhythm of grace, that I can begin again as many times as needed, that you do not tire of my returning, that you delight in every single time I say yes again. This is not about perfection, it is about presence. Not about arrival, but about alignment. I choose to begin again today because I believe you are worthy of my yes, even when my yes is whispered through trembling lips. So here I am, Lord, with open hands and a willing heart. I begin again not with loud declarations, but with quiet trust. I believe you are in this moment, just as you have been in all the others. And if all I can do today is begin, then that will be enough, because beginning with you is never small. It is the beginning of something sacred. It is the beginning of restoration. It is the beginning of hope. It is the beginning of home. Lord, as I walk into this new day, I realize the beginning is not merely about action, but about posture. It is about how I bend my will to yours, how I lay down my weapons of self-reliance, and take up the mantle of trust. I have spent so many seasons striving, trying to fix, force, and figure it all out on my own. But each morning you gently remind me that my strength is not in how hard I push, but in how deeply I rest in you. To surrender is not weakness, it is wisdom. It is a choice to lean into a love that knows the way when I do not. God, you see the battles I fight in silence, the tug of control I grip tightly, afraid to let go, but you call me deeper, not into chaos, but into peace, not into the fear of the unknown, but into the freedom of trust. I have feared that surrender would mean loss, but you show me it is actually the door to gain, not material gain, but the gain of serenity, of clarity, of your presence. You are not asking me to abandon hope, but to place it in stronger hands. And so I stretch my soul toward you, praying not for everything to go my way, but for the grace to trust you when it does not. Father, there are so many things I still do not understand. Doors that have closed without warning, prayers that remain unanswered, hopes that have been deferred. And yet, you ask me to surrender, not to despair, but to trust that you are still writing something good. So I lay down my right to know why. I lay down my demand for explanations. And I pick up something greater, a quiet confidence that you are who you say you are, that you are kind, that you are near, that you are working all things together even when my eyes see only fragments. My surrender becomes the soil where new hope is planted. There is power in letting go, and I feel it even now, as I release my tight grip on what I thought I needed. I feel your peace slip into the space left behind. As I choose your way over mine, I find joy I did not expect. And though surrender does not guarantee that life will become easy, it promises that I will never walk it alone. You meet me in the letting go. You strengthen me in the yielding. You hold me together when I stop trying to hold everything else. And that, Lord, is the miracle of trust, that in my giving up, you are lifting me up in my pause. You are preparing me in my silence. You are speaking peace. So today, I begin again not with clenched fists, but with open hands, not with bold declarations, but with stillness. Teach me to walk slowly enough to hear your voice, to move gently enough to follow your lead. Let my surrender not be an isolated act, but a daily rhythm, a sacred habit of releasing control, so that I may receive peace. You are not in the noise of striving, but in the whisper of surrender, not in the rush of performance, but in the rest of presence. So I will return to this stillness as often as I need, not because I am failing, but because I am learning to live yielded. Lord, if today only brings one small victory, let it be this, that I chose surrender over self, that I chose trust over tension, that I let go of what I could not change, and let you change me instead. And if tomorrow asks me to surrender again, may I not see it as a setback, but as a sacred invitation to grow deeper in you. You are not done with me. You never were. And that assurance is enough to quiet my fears and anchor my heart once more in hope. Lord, as I sit quietly in the aftermath of letting go, there is both emptiness and anticipation hovering in my chest. The space once filled with fear and old attachments is now open ground, untouched soil, ready for something new to take root. And as the silence settles around me, I ask you to meet me here, not in a rush of answers, but in a steady hand extended toward a new beginning. Yesterday is behind me. I feel its shadow, yes, but I do not let it hold me. Not today. Not anymore. God, you know the fragile place I am standing in. Starting over is a strange place to be. It is both a relief and a weight. A relief to shed what no longer serves me. A weight to carry the unknown. But you remind me gently that every story worth telling begins in this very place, in the quiet after the storm, in the breath right before the seed is planted. So I close my eyes, and I let your whispers rise louder than my worry. I do not need to understand the whole path. I just need the courage to take the first step. Father, I confess I am afraid, not of you, but of the possible pain that comes with trying again. I have tried before and failed. I have hoped and been disappointed. I have stretched toward what I thought was promise, only to be left holding pieces. And yet, something in my soul knows that even broken pieces in your hands are not wasted. You gather them, you breathe over them, and you reshape them into new beginnings that defy logic and time. So even as fear knocks at the door of my mind, I reach for your strength. You are the God of restarts, the one who calls dead bones to dance again, the one who turned water into wine, ashes into beauty, mourning into joy. I hold tightly to those truths, not as distant stories, but as living promises. If you could call Lazarus from the grave, surely you can call my life out of pause. If you could split the sea, surely you can make a way through this moment of uncertainty. So I do not ask for the full picture. I ask for light just enough for today a step. Give me courage to begin with what I have, to build not on what I lost, but on what you are giving me now. Lord, I lift the weight of my excuses. I have said, I am not ready. I have said, maybe later. I have said, who am I to try again? But you never asked for perfection. Only trust. You never required a flawless plan. Just a willing heart. So I place mine before you, messy, but sincere. Wounded, but hopeful. Empty, but ready. I do not know what this next chapter holds, but I know who holds the pen, and that alone steadies me. Breathe on my dreams, Lord, not just the ones I used to have, but the new ones stirring in this quiet, the ones I dare not say out loud yet, the ones that feel too fragile to hold. Wrap them in your wisdom, wrap me in your peace. Let this new beginning be grounded not in striving, but in surrender, not in hustle, but in holy expectancy. I do not want to rebuild a version of what was. I want to walk into what is becoming. What you have dreamed for me long before I had words to ask for it. God, speak to every voice in me that says I am too late. Speak to the lies that echo. You have missed your chance. Remind me that in you, there is no clock that disqualifies. You are outside of time, and you redeem every moment we thought was wasted. You are not finished writing my story, so I will not place a period where you are still writing a comma. You call me not backward, but forward, not into replaying the past, but into co-creating the future. You have been so gentle with my heart, even in the silence. You were not absent, even in my delay. You were not disappointed. You waited. You waited like a gardener waits for spring. Never rushing, only preparing the ground with care. And now that I begin again, I do so with your voice louder than my fears and your presence deeper than my regrets. I do not need perfect confidence. I only need the faith to take one small step. So here I am, Lord. Breathing again. Believing again. Beginning again. Not in my strength, but in yours. Not because I have earned a fresh start, but because grace offers it freely. I choose not to dwell on what I have lost, but to invest in what can still be. I choose to believe that small beginnings are holy, that trembling hands can still build something beautiful, that walking forward slowly is better than standing still in shame. Thank you for meeting me in this place, where endings turn to thresholds, and fear gives way to faith. I will not look back with regret, nor will I stare forward in panic. I will walk with you, step by step, breath by breath, seed by seed. You are already ahead of me, preparing the way, and you are beside me, steadying my soul. There is no safer place to begin again than in your presence. There is no truer foundation than your love. And there is no limit to what you can restore when I say yes to you again. You know the quiet H that lingers behind brave faces, the tension between wanting to run ahead and being too afraid to move at all. So teach me the rhythm of beginning again, not in haste, but in harmony with your timing. Let me not despise the slow unfolding of this new chapter. Let me treasure the sacred in the unseen. Even when doors remain closed, even when answers seem delayed, let my trust not be shaken. Let me begin again by choosing to believe you, are doing more in the waiting than I can perceive in the moment. Lord, help me to resist the urge to compare my new beginning with someone else's middle. Help me not measure my pace by the world's timeline, by the peace you give when I am aligned with you. If you have placed me here, it is not by mistake, and if you have called me forward, you will provide what I lack. My courage is not a feeling I wait for, it is a decision I choose in faith. So I say yes, not because I see the whole staircase, because I trust the first step is under your command. Remind me that even the smallest movements matter. A single prayer, a hesitant word, a quiet act of kindness, a moment of gratitude whispered in the dark. These are not insignificant in your hands. They multiply in your presence. They take root. You are the God who honors mustard seed faith, the one who sees the heart more than the outcome. So I come with what I have, however small, and I offer it into your mighty, merciful hands. God, shield me from the voice of shame that tries to bind me to yesterday. Let me not rehearse what I should be done or who I could be been. Today is a gift. Today is enough. I will not disqualify myself from joy because of an old chapter I have already surrendered. The past has lost its grip. The cross has settled it. My story is not defined by how many times I fell, but by how faithfully you lifted me every time I dared to reach again. Train my heart to notice the grace hidden in ordinary things, in the sunrise that returns without fail, in the steady breath in my lungs, in the moments of laughter I almost forgot how to enjoy. Beginning again does not always look like fireworks or big announcements. Sometimes it is just the quiet decision to keep showing up, to keep being kind, to keep dreaming, even when it feels risky, to forgive, even when it still hurts, to try again, not because I am strong, but because you are endlessly faithful. Father, I ask that you bless the ground beneath my new steps. Let the path ahead be marked with unexpected favor, but also with the deep wisdom to recognize growth, even when it is slow. Let my mind not be ruled by deadlines or distractions, but by devotion. Align my desires with your design. Let this new beginning not be about proving something, but about living more fully into the purpose you have always intended for me. Restore my willingness to trust, again, not just in people or plans, but in your promises, when fear whispers that I have gone too far off course. Remind me that there is no distance too great for your grace to reach. When doubts creep in like a tide, trying to wash away my hope, raise a banner over me that says redeemed, renewed, not forgotten. Let these truths echo louder than every lie that tries to cling to the corners of my memory. This journey is not about chasing success or earning favor. It is about staying close to the one who holds the future. You are not a distant spectator, watching me struggle. You are the author who walks beside me, pen in hand, heart wide open, still writing beauty out of brokenness. And because you go with me, I go forward trembling, maybe, but not alone. Beginning again may be hard, but doing it with you makes all the difference. So let my life become a quiet testament to resurrection, not the dramatic kind, but the daily kind, the kind that rises in the morning and chooses joy again, the kind that embraces discipline without losing softness, the kind that prays when words are few, that listens more than it speaks, that offers presence more than solutions, the kind that believes every small act of faith plants a seed in eternity. Lord, where the world tells me to rebuild on the ruins of ambition, teach me to rebuild on the foundation of surrender. Let this new beginning not be about recovering everything I lost, but about discovering all that you still desire to birth in me. Not just what was taken, but what was never yet imagined. Breathe life into the silent corners of my purpose. Revive long dormant hopes. Reignite the quiet courage to begin again, not once, but as many times as needed, until my soul is shaped into trust. And even if no one sees it, even if it unfolds in secret, let this becoming be beautiful in your sight. For it is in the hidden places that you do your deepest work, and it is in these surrendered beginnings that I become most like you, faithful, steadfast, and full of grace. Father, as I carry the courage to begin again, I am quickly reminded that the path is not always straight, and it is rarely smooth. There are valleys I must walk through, places where the shadows seem longer than the light, where hope feels thinner than fear, where every step echoes with questions I cannot answer. And yet, even here, you are present. Even here, you are guiding. Even here, your rod and your staff still comfort me. The valleys do not mean you have abandoned me. They mean you are teaching me how to trust when the ground beneath me feels uncertain. Lord, I admit the valleys unsettle me. It is easier to trust you on the mountaintop, when vision is clear and joy feels abundant. But down here, where fog settles low and silence stretches long, trust is tested in deeper ways. It is here I learn whether my faith is dependent on circumstances or rooted in you. It is here I learn that trust is not built when everything is obvious, but when nothing is clear and I still choose to follow your voice. So I whisper my yes again, not because the valley feels safe, because I know the one who walks beside me is God. You know how often I have prayed for the valley to be lifted, for the shadow to pass quickly. And sometimes you do lift it, but other times you invite me to walk through it, not because you delight in my struggle, because you know the growth found here cannot be discovered anywhere else. In the valley, I learn endurance. In the valley, I learn to listen more carefully. In the valley, I learn that my strength is not my own, and that every step forward is a testimony of grace. Father, when fear rises in the valley, remind me of the times you have carried me before. The nights I thought I would not make it, yet morning still came. The burdens I thought would crush me, yet I still breathe today. The loneliness that felt unbearable, yet somehow I found comfort in unexpected ways. Let these memories be like lanterns in the dark. Proof that you have always been faithful. Proof that you have never left me to walk alone. There are voices in the valley that tell me I am forgotten, that the silence means you are far. But I choose to silence those lies with the truth of your word. You have promised never to leave me. You have declared yourself my shepherd. You do not abandon your sheep to the wolves. You do not leave them wandering without guidance. You walk before me and behind me. You surround me. And even when I cannot see you, I trust that you are near. Lord, the valley strips away distractions. It exposes what I truly believe. It shows me where I have leaned on myself more than on you. It humbles me in ways I would never choose, but desperately need. And though it feels uncomfortable, I know it is also holy. Because here, in this place, faith is not theory, it is breath. It is choosing to keep walking, step after step, with no guarantee except your presence. And that is enough. God, let the valley not embitter me, but refine me. Let it not harden my heart, but soften it. Let it not make me fearful, but faithful. Let me see beauty even here, the way the river carves gently through the rocks, the way wildflowers bloom in hidden corners, the way silence itself can carry a depth that joy alone cannot teach. Let me not miss the gifts hidden in the shadows, for you waste nothing, not even this. When I am weary in the valley, teach me to rest instead of resist, to find peace in stillness rather than panic in striving, to remember that waiting is not wasted time, but preparation, that delay is not denial, but development, that every slow step in the valley is shaping a strength I will one day need on higher ground, and so I will keep walking not in my power, but in yours. Father, lift my eyes to see the horizon even when the valley seems endless. Let me glimpse the promise that this is not forever. Remind me that shadows are cast only where light is present, that no valley lasts forever, and that even here, resurrection is already at work. One day, I will look back and see the valley not as the place where I was abandoned, but as the place where I was transformed. So I choose trust, not the shallow kind that depends on comfort, but the deep kind that clings to you in uncertainty. I choose to believe that you are still good, still kind, still working even here. I choose to believe that valleys are not detours, but sacred pathways to deeper intimacy with you. And I choose to keep walking, even trembling, knowing that every step I take is a step with you, and that is always enough. Father, as I continue walking through the valleys where shadows once loomed, I notice something stirring in the horizon, a shift so gentle I could have missed it if I had not slowed down to see. The darkness is not as heavy as before. The silence feels less like absence and more like expectancy. And in the distance, there is a glimmer, faint but real, of light breaking through. It is not sudden. It is not overwhelming, but it is steady. And steady light is enough to remind me that even the longest night must yield to morning. Lord, this light does not erase the valley. The terrain is still uneven, the path still uncertain. But what changes everything is knowing that light is present. Even the smallest ray alters the way I walk. Fear loosens its grip. Hope takes a breath. My spirit leans forward as if it knows the dawn is near. And in that leaning, I find strength I did not know I had, strength not from myself, but from your promise that darkness can never overcome the light you bring. God, how often have I longed for this moment, when shadows would give way to clarity. I prayed for a sudden breakthrough, a swift end to the silence. But instead, You have taught me that breakthrough often comes slowly, like the rising sun, gradual, intentional, unstoppable. And in that slowness, you train my eyes to notice, to see you in the in-between, to celebrate not only the fullness of daylight, but also the first fragile beams of dawn. The breaking of light is its own kind of miracle, and I will not dismiss it just because it arrives gently. Father, help me to honor this season of partial light. Let me not rush ahead impatient for the full brightness. Teach me to linger here, where the first rays meet the remnants of night, where promise is visible though not complete. This is the holy tension of hope, that I can rejoice in what has begun while still waiting for what will be. I choose to worship here, in the in-between, believing that the God who has begun to shine will not leave the work unfinished. Lord, the light breaking through tells me I am not lost. It whispers that direction is possible again, that steps once made in trembling can now be made in confidence, that the fog is lifting enough for me to see the path you have laid out. Even if I cannot see it all, I see enough. Enough to take the next step. Enough to trust that each moment is leading me closer to the fullness of your promise. And in this growing light, I feel you reminding me of who I am, not a child of despair, but a child of hope, not one left in the dark, but one carried into the dawn. You call me to rise with the morning, to lift my head, to breathe deeply the air of a new day. You remind me that while sorrow may linger for the night, joy always comes with the morning. Always. This is not wishful thinking, it is the rhythm of your faithfulness, written into creation itself. God, I thank you for the ways you have kept me when I thought I would break, for the moments you held me in silence, for the strength you gave me in shadows, and now, for the gift of light that breaks through, reminding me that seasons change and you remain the same. I do not take this for granted. I know what it costs to keep walking until this moment, and so I stand here with gratitude swelling in my chest, praising you not only for the light itself, but for the endurance built in the waiting. Father, let this light guide me into greater trust, not just when things are bright, but even when shadows return. Let me remember this moment the next time darkness whispers its lies. Let me carry the memory of dawn like a lantern in my soul. For if you can bring light here, you can bring it anywhere. If you can break through my night, you can break through any night. No shadow is stronger than your love. No valley is deeper than your presence. No silence is louder than your word. So I walk forward into this light with renewed courage. I do not need it to be full noon yet. The dawn is enough. The promise is enough. Your presence is enough. And as the valley behind me begins to fade into memory, I set my face toward the horizon, where light spreads wider with each step. I do not run ahead, but I do not linger in fear. I walk steady, hand in hand with the one who is both my light and my salvation. And as I move into this day, I carry the truth that breaking through is not just something I see, it is something I carry. For your spirit within me is light, and no darkness can overcome it. Even when I feel weak, that light remains. Even when I falter, it shines. Even when the world presses hard, it will not be extinguished. I am never without hope, because I am never without you. Father, as the dawn spreads wider and the shadows of the valley recede, I find myself stepping more fully into the gift of your light. No longer do I only see a faint glimmer in the distance. Now, it surrounds me, warming my skin, opening my eyes, steadying my soul. This light is not my own, it is yours, and yet you invite me to walk in it, to carry it, to live as one who is no longer bound by the darkness of fear or the weight of yesterday's failures. The light breaking through was a promise, but now walking in it is a practice, a daily choice to remain close to you. Lord, walking in the light is not always easy. There are still shadows that try creeping at the edges. There are still voices that whisper doubt, still memories that linger like clouds, trying to cover the sun. But in your presence, even the shadows lose their grip. For your word reminds me that light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. I carry that truth like a shield, refusing to bow to the lies that once kept me bound. Each step I take in the light is an act of defiance against despair. Each breath I breathe in the morning air is a declaration that hope is alive within me. God, help me to walk in this light not just when it feels bright and beautiful, but also when the world tries to dim it. Remind me that walking in your light is more than a feeling. It is a way of being. It means choosing truth when lies feel easier. It means choosing love when bitterness seems more natural. It means choosing forgiveness when resentment claws at my heart. To walk in the light is to live in alignment with you, letting your presence illuminate my decisions, my conversations, my thoughts, and even my hidden motives. Father, I ask for courage to let your light not only guide me, but transform me. I want the shadows within me to dissolve the fear, the pride, the hidden anger, the quiet unbelief. Shine on those places, even the ones I would rather keep hidden. I know your light does not come to shame, but to heal. It does not expose to condemn, but to restore. So I will not run from it. I will stand in it, even trembling, because I know that only in your light can I become who I was created to be. As I walk in the light, let me also become a reflection of it. Let those around me see something different, not because me, but because of you. Let my kindness carry warmth. Let my words carry truth. Let my presence bring peace, not for recognition, not for praise, but as a quiet testimony that you are near. I do not want to hoard the light you have given. I want to let it spill out into every space I enter, so that others may find their way out of shadows too. Lord, I know that walking in the light will sometimes make me stand apart. It may mean refusing to compromise when it would be easier to stay silent. It may mean extending grace when the world demands revenge. It may mean choosing integrity when shortcuts tempt me. But I choose it still. For what is light if it is hidden? What is hope if it is hoarded? What is truth if it is not lived? You have called me to be a light in this world, not because of my strength, but because your spirit burns within me. God, I ask you to guard my steps as I walk. Keep me from wandering back into old shadows. Keep me from mistaking the dim glow of distractions for the brilliance of your presence. Keep me alert to the subtle ways darkness tries to reclaim ground in my heart through cynicism, through fear, through bitterness. Let me remain rooted in you, so that no matter what comes, I walk steadily in the light you provide. Father, remind me daily that the light is not a destination I reach once and for all. It is a path I must choose again each morning. It is a journey of trust, a rhythm of grace, continual turning toward you. There will be days when clouds gather, when storms roll in, when the brightness feels hidden. But even then, the light remains. Even when I cannot see it, I can trust it. For you are the source, and you do not flicker, you do not fade. So I rise today with gratitude that I no longer walk in the heavy silence of the valley. I rise with courage to keep moving forward, not because the path is easy, but because it is illuminated by your presence. I rise with hope that what began as a flicker has become a flame, steady and strong, guiding me step by step. This is what it means to walk in the light, not perfection, not certainty, but a faithful yes to the one who leads me. And as I walk, I carry this light not only for myself, but for others still searching. Let my journey be a lantern in someone else's night. Let my story remind them that dawn is coming. Let my faith be a quiet song that points to you, the true light of the world. And as long as I have breath, may I never forget that walking in the light is both a gift and a calling to live in your presence, to reflect your goodness, and to trust that no darkness will ever overcome what you have begun to shine. Father, as I learn to walk in your light, I begin to feel the weight of the road that stretches forward. The path is beautiful, yes, but it is also long, and my heart knows there will be days of weariness, moments when the journey feels too much. I cannot pretend that strength comes naturally to me. It does not. It ebbs and flows like the tide. Yet I turn to you now, knowing that my endurance is not found in my own willpower, but in the reservoir of grace you provide. You have carried me through valleys, guided me into dawn, and now I ask you to equip me for what lies ahead. Lord, you know the terrain I cannot yet see. You know the hills that will rise suddenly, the twists that will surprise me, the storms that will challenge me. Nothing is hidden from your sight, though it remains unknown to me. This is why I lean so heavily on you. For what would it matter if I could map the entire route and still walk it in my own strength? I would collapse before reaching the first milestone. So I choose instead to depend on your strength, the kind that does not deplete, the kind that sustains through trials, the kind that renews with every morning. God, I confess that I have often underestimated the journey. I thought a burst of passion would be enough. I thought the excitement of new beginnings would carry me far. But beginnings, though sacred, are not the whole story. The true test comes in the middle, when the road stretches long, when progress feels slow, when enthusiasm fades into discipline. And here is where I need you most, not just for a spark to start, but for the steady flame that keeps burning when winds of doubt blow strong. Teach me to see strength not as the absence of weakness, but as the presence of reliance on you. My fragility does not disqualify me, it draws me nearer. My exhaustion does not mark the end, it invites me to lean. Even when I stumble, even when I falter, you are strong enough to steady me, to lift me, to keep me moving forward. You remind me that those who wait on the Lord will renew their strength, that they will run and not grow weary, that they will walk and not faint. Let that promise settle deep into my bones. Father, fill my heart with resilience that is not harsh but tender. Let my perseverance be marked not by stubbornness, but by grace. Give me the strength to keep showing up, to keep believing, to keep choosing love over bitterness, even when I am tired. Help me remember that strength is not always seen in great accomplishments, but in the quiet decision to continue, to rise each morning and take the next step, to trust you when answers are delayed, to keep sowing when harvest seems far away. Lord, I ask you to strengthen not only my body and mind, but my spirit. Anchor me so deeply in your presence that no storm can uproot me. Train me to draw from your living water, so that even in drought, I remain nourished. Let your joy be my strength when sorrow presses in. Let your peace be my strength when anxiety tightens its grip. Let your love be my strength when I am tempted to withdraw. With you, weakness becomes the very place where glory rests, and I learn that I am never truly lacking when you are my source. God, prepare me to endure not only challenges, but also success. For sometimes it is easier to cling to you in trouble than in triumph. Guard my heart from pride that blinds me to my dependence. Teach me to see every achievement as a gift, every opportunity as a trust, every victory as an altar where I lay down gratitude. Keep me humble in light, steadfast in shadow, faithful in both abundance and lack. When the road grows lonely, remind me that I do not walk alone. Surround me with others who carry your light, who encourage, who remind me of your truth when my memory falters. And likewise, make me strong enough to carry others when they stumble, to share the load when they are weary, to lift a voice of hope when they cannot find their own. For the journey is not meant to be walked in isolation, but in community shaped by your Spirit. Father, thank you for the promise that your strength is perfected in weakness. Thank you that I do not need to prove myself capable before you come to my aid. Thank you that when my legs grow tired, your arms are steady, that when my vision blurs, your eyes remain clear, that when my heart wavers, your love does not. This assurance alone gives me the courage to step into tomorrow, not fearing its demands, but trusting in your provision. So as I stand at this point in the road, I lift my gaze not to the length of the journey, but to the one who walks it with me. My strength will fail, but yours will not. My plans may falter, but your purposes endure. My hands may tremble, but yours will never let go. And that is enough to keep moving, enough to keep believing, enough to keep pressing forward into the future you have prepared, with strength that is not my own, but fully, completely, faithfully yours. Father, after finding strength for the road ahead, my heart cannot help but rise with gratitude, not the shallow kind that simply utters polite words, but a deep, overflowing current that springs from the very core of me, gratitude that remembers the nights I thought I would not make it, the valleys that pressed heavy, the silences that felt endless, and how you brought me through every one. Gratitude that looks at the road still stretching ahead and believes that the same faithfulness that carried me yesterday will sustain me tomorrow. Lord, it is easy to thank you when blessings are visible, when victories are obvious, when answers arrive quickly. But I want a gratitude that is steady, one that does not depend on what I hold in my hands, but on who holds me. A gratitude that breathes in the ordinary, the rising sun, the steady beat of my heart, the laughter of a friend, the quiet comfort of rest, and sees each as a gift wrapped in your mercy. For nothing in my life exists apart from your grace. Every breath, every moment, every opportunity is evidence that you are near. God, I admit that sometimes I have taken your gifts for granted. I have rushed through days without noticing the small wonders you set before me. I have complained about what I lacked instead of thanking you for what I had. Forgive me for every time I treated your provision as if it were my entitlement. Open my eyes to see that even the simplest things are miracles: the clean water I drink, the shelter I rest beneath, the food I eat, the people who surround me. None of these are small. Each one is a reason to pause and give thanks. Father, let my gratitude not be confined to words, but flow into actions. Let me live thankfully. Let generosity become the natural overflow of a grateful heart. When I remember how you have provided for me, let me become eager to provide for others. When I recall how you comforted me, let me become quick to comfort those in pain. When I think of how you forgave me, let me extend forgiveness freely. Gratitude is not only spoken, it is shown. So let my life become a testimony of thanksgiving, lived out in kindness, service, and joy. Lord, gratitude shifts my vision. Where I once saw scarcity, I now see abundance. Where I once saw only obstacles, I now see opportunities. Gratitude reminds me that I am not empty but full, not forsaken but loved, not lacking but cared for by a Father who delights to give. Even when life feels heavy, gratitude lightens the load, because it teaches me to count blessings instead of burdens. It reminds me that joy is not found in circumstances, but in perspective. Not in what I achieve, but in what I receive. God, let my gratitude be loud enough to silence my fears. Let it speak stronger than doubt, clearer than anxiety, truer than despair. When shadows creep in, let thanksgiving rise as a weapon, a shield, a melody of trust. For gratitude does more than honor you, it transforms me. It softens the heart, it clears the mind, it lifts the soul. It opens the door to peace, cause it turns my gaze away from what I cannot control and fixes it on the one who controls all things. Father, I thank you for the unseen ways you have carried me, for the dangers I never even knew were near, but from which you protected me, for the prayers answered quietly, without fanfare, in ways I might have missed if not for reflection. I thank you for the lessons hidden in hardship, for the growth born from pain, for the strength forged in waiting. None of it was wasted, and even now, when I do not fully understand, I choose gratitude, trusting that someday the pieces will fit into a greater picture of grace. Lord, let my gratitude spill into worship, not confined to a moment of prayer, but carried into the rhythm of my day. Let me thank you in the way I speak, in the way I work, in the way I treat others. Let every smile, every word, every gesture become an offering. Teach me that worship is not only a song, but a lifestyle. Gratitude is the language of worship, and I long to speak it fluently, not only with my lips, but with my living. And God, remind me that gratitude is contagious, that when I live from a place of thanksgiving, I can inspire others to see their own blessings. My joy can awaken joy in them. My gratitude can spark their gratitude. Let me be a vessel through which thanksgiving multiplies, rippling outward into homes, communities, and hearts that may have forgotten how to see the good. For in a world so full of noise and complaint, gratitude shines like a light, steady and unmistakable. So here I am, Lord, my heart full to the brim. Thank you for what has been, for what is, and for what is yet to come. Thank you for the strength you give, the peace you provide, the hope you restore, the love you never withhold. Thank you that even when I am unfaithful, you remain faithful. Thank you that even when I forget, you remember. Thank you that even when I falter, you steady me. Gratitude is my response, my prayer, my song, my life. And as long as breath remains in me, thanksgiving will rise. Father, as gratitude overflows from my heart, I begin to notice the quiet fruit it produces: peace that settles deeper than circumstance, calm that steadies even in uncertainty. It is not the peace the world offers, fragile and easily broken. It is yours, unshakable, flowing like a river that runs steady beneath the storms. I cannot explain it. I cannot manufacture it. I cannot hold on to it by my own strength. Yet here it is, peace beyond understanding, given freely by your Spirit. Lord, I have chased peace in many places before. I have thought it could be found in perfect conditions, in answered prayers arriving quickly, in everything aligning exactly as I hoped. But that kind of peace always slipped through my fingers. It was shallow, dependent, temporary. The peace you give is different. Exists even when conditions are far from perfect, when prayers remain unanswered, when the future is uncertain. It is not tied to what I see, but to who you are. And because you do not change, neither does the peace you provide. God, let this peace guard my mind from the chaos of anxious thoughts. Let it quiet the noise of fears that shout louder than truth. Let it hold me steady when my imagination races into dark places. Let it be the shield that turns away doubt and despair. For too long I have believed that peace comes when problems end. But you are teaching me that peace is the presence of trust, even when problems remain. It is the deep assurance that you are with me, that I am not alone, that nothing can separate me from your love. Father, I ask for peace to reign not only in my heart, but in my relationships. Let it flow into the way I speak, softening words that might otherwise cut. Let it flow into the way I listen, creating space for understanding where tension would normally grow. Let it flow into my home, turning rooms into havens of rest rather than battlegrounds of conflict. Let it spill outward into my community, into every place I step, into every life I touch. Make me an instrument of peace, carrying your calm into a world fractured by fear and anger. Lord, I know that living in this kind of peace is not passive. It requires a continual choosing, a steady surrender. I must release control daily, laying down my right to know every answer, letting go of the illusion that I can solve everything by my own effort. True peace is birthed in trust. It is sustained by prayer. It is nourished by gratitude. Teach me to keep coming back to these roots so that peace remains, even when life shakes me. God, when storms arise, remind me that peace does not mean their absence. It means finding you in the middle of them. It means sleeping in the boat while the waves crash, not because the storm is small, but because I know the one who commands the wind and sea is with me when everything outside feels unsettled. Let me be anchored in the truth that you are sovereign. When everything inside me feels restless, let me breathe slowly and remember that you are near. Father, I long to live so fully in this peace that it shapes my identity. Not anxious, not hurried, not tossed back and forth, but steady, grounded, calm, a person whose life reflects trust in you, not in circumstances, a person who can walk into chaos and still carry serenity, because peace is no longer something I am chasing. It is something that flows from the one I carry within me. Lord, let this peace become a witness to others, not a performance, not a mask, but a genuine overflow that makes people ask how I can remain calm when the world is trembling. Let my answer always point back to you, not my strength, not my wisdom, not my calm disposition, but you, the source of peace, the giver of rest, the keeper of promises. May my life whisper the truth that real peace is found only in your presence. God, thank you for teaching me that peace is not fragile. It cannot be stolen by circumstance or shaken by fear. It cannot be destroyed by uncertainty. It is anchored in eternity, secured in your character, alive in your spirit. This peace is not a fleeting feeling. It is a gift that transforms me, and I receive it today with open hands, letting it fill every corner of my being, letting it guide me as I move forward, letting it remind me that no matter what comes, I can remain steady because I am held. So I choose to live in this peace, not tomorrow, not someday, but now, in each breath, in each step, in each decision. I choose to carry it into the moments that would normally unravel me. I choose to guard it like a treasure, nurture it like a seed, let it flow like a river, and as I live in it, may it not only sustain me, but become a gift to the world around me, pointing every heart I encounter back to the one who offers peace beyond understanding. Lord, as this journey of prayer reaches its final chapter, I find myself pausing in awe at the road I have traveled with you. From cries of desperation to whispers of trust, from valleys of silence to mornings filled with light, you have been the constant presence that carried me through. Every word I poured out was met by your listening ear. Every fear I confessed was met with your mercy. Every fragile step forward was steadied by your hand. And now, as I reflect on all that has unfolded in these moments, my heart is overwhelmed with quiet gratitude. Father, you have taught me that prayer is not only about speaking, but about becoming. Through these mornings of surrender and longing, you have shaped my heart into a vessel that holds more peace, more courage, more compassion than I once believed possible. You have shown me that faith is not about perfection, but about persistence, that to return to you again and again, even trembling, is to discover the steady rhythm of grace. This journey has not made me flawless, but it has made me yours in a deeper, truer way. God, I cannot claim to understand all that has happened, all that is happening, or all that will come, but I no longer need to. What once felt like a demand for answers has become a deeper trust in your wisdom. What once felt like an endless striving has become a gentle rhythm of rest. What once felt like fear of the future has become anticipation for how your promises will unfold. My life remains unfinished, my path still uncertain, but my soul is steadied by the truth that you are here, that you are faithful, that you are more than enough. Lord, I want to thank you not only for what you have done, but for who you are, for being unchanging when I was unstable, for being merciful when I was stubborn, for being patient when I resisted, for being gentle when I faltered. You have been my refuge and my strength, my healer and my guide, my provider and my friend. If these prayers have taught me anything, it is that you are not far away. You are near. You are here. You have always been and always will be. Father, I also thank you for every person who has walked through this prayer with me, for the hearts that opened, the souls that listened, the lives that leaned into these words with hope. None of us walk this path alone. As much as this has been a personal journey, it has also been a shared one. Each prayer was not only for me, but for the weary soul who needed strength, the broken heart who needed comfort, the searching spirit who needed direction. Together, we have journeyed through valleys and risen with the dawn. Together, we have discovered that prayer is the place where heaven touches earth. God, as I close this chapter, I do not close the conversation. This prayer may end, but communion with you never does. Each morning offers a new beginning, a new chance to rise, a new invitation to trust. May those who hear these words carry them into their own lives, weaving them into the rhythm of their days. May they remember that faith is not fragile, that hope is not foolish, that love is not fleeting when it is rooted in you. Lord, I pray that peace will follow those who have joined me in this journey, that in their quiet moments, they will sense your presence, that in their weary nights, they will feel your comfort, that in their uncertain days, they will find your guidance, that in their celebrations, they will recognize your joy. May their lives become living prayers, whispered not only with words, but with actions, with kindness, with love. May they walk into each new day with the assurance that you are already there waiting. And so, I close this prayer not with finality, but with an opening into new mornings, new mercies, new depths of faith, new encounters with grace. This is not an ending, but a threshold, a gentle turning toward the horizon, where your promises meet the rising sun. I leave space here for silence, for reflection, for the whisper of your spirit to speak what words cannot. To those who have listened until the end, thank you. Thank you for lending your heart to this journey, for choosing to pause and pray, for seeking something deeper than the noise of life. May these words not simply be heard, but lived. May they become seeds planted in the soil of your soul, bearing fruit in the seasons to come. I invite you to share your own reflections, your own prayers, your own experiences of grace. Let this be not just a story I told, but a chorus of faith rising together. Your words may be the encouragement someone else needs, your testimony the light in another's night. And I ask you, continue walking with us. Continue seeking. Continue praying. Continue growing. Subscribe to this channel, share these prayers, and let us build a community that reminds each other daily of the hope we carry. The journey of faith is long, and we need each other. Let us not grow weary, but continue encouraging, lifting, and strengthening one another. So we step forward now, not with fear, but with faith, not with despair, but with hope, not with silence, but with songs of trust rising within us. The journey continues, the story unfolds, the light keeps shining, and as we walk into what lies ahead, may we do so with hearts open wide, held steady by the one who never leaves. And there, at the edge of this prayer, I see it, the soft glow of dawn spreading across the horizon, the gentle breeze carrying the scent of newness, the sound of water flowing steadily. Endlessly, the day has begun, and so has life again,